was beautiful. Let's see. We welcome you this morning. My name is Janet McFarland. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. Lifting up the board, it's great work. We are glad you were with us this morning at First Unitarian Universalist Church of Oakland. We are committed to becoming a multi-generational, multiracial, multicultural, inclusive, and anti-oppressive religious community. You are welcome here. If you'd like to find out more about our church, we invite you to find one of these cards near you and pick up the QR code, which will take you to our website, and you can let us know you're here, and someone will get back to you during the week. Also, after church, we'll have coffee in the adjacent room called Venti Hall, and you can find the welcome table there. Let's see, if you write your information down, we can get in touch with you during the week. And one more thing, newcomers, Emily, sitting here, will be here after the church service, and we'll give a little 10-minute orientation to the church, answer your questions, etc. So welcome, everyone. Now, we have our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land and the peoples who belonged to this land, the Lishan Ohlone peoples. Our church, institutions, and homes reside on their lands. We acknowledge that the lands were stolen from the Ohlone peoples, who have an ancestral relationship with the land, the plants, the animals, and the water for millennia, continuous to the present day. Ohlone people are still here. And also at our little welcome station, you'll find these wonderful cards about the Sugoriate Land Trust. There's 2 small sides. And you can learn more about the Ohlone people and their Sugoriate Land Trust and their work to rematriate local land in solidarity with all indigenous people and their right to self-determination and justice. We commit toward working toward the accountability for the theft and dispossession of their land and toward being active partners in the healing of the intergenerational trauma which persists to this day. And on the slide, you'll see instructions on how to give shumi. It's a way of doing reparations in a small way that we can donate to this organization as a gift in appreciation of the fact that we are occupying their land. And now,
okay, you ready for the chalice lighting words? Here we go. We light this chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism. May it remind us of the divine spark in all of creation, of the power of love to heal what is broken, and to be grateful for life's blessings each day. Yes. And now, the peace candle. Peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. So said Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. And together we say, peace is possible. And now the Black Lives Matter candle. A democracy thrives on diversity. Tyranny oppresses it. Together we say, Black Lives Matter.
Good morning, church.
Good morning.
It is so good to be here with you. I'm the Reverend Ben Myers. I'm a member of this congregation, and it's so wonderful to be here in the pulpit and with the choir and with all of you. As we gather our hearts and minds for this hour of worship together, I ask you to recite the simple phrase, no one is outside the circle of love. Will you try that with me? No one is outside the circle of love. That is your response when I pause between these statements of faith. We know that hurt moves through the world perpetuated by actions, inaction, and indifference. Love calls us to live in the reality of the heartbreak of our world, remembering that no one is outside the circle of love. We know that things break or break down. Promises, friendships, sobriety, hope, communication. This breaking happens because our human hearts and our very institutions are frail and imperfect. We make mistakes. Life is messy, but
no one is outside the circle of love.
With compassion as our guide, we seek the well-being of all people. We seek to dismantle systems of oppression that undermine our collective humanity. We believe that we're here to guide one another towards greater love. And
no one is outside the circle of love.
No matter how fractured we are or once were, we can make whole people of ourselves. We are whole at our core because of the great, unnameable, sometimes inconceivable love in which we live. Love that never lets us go. For no one is outside the circle of love. Let us say together, come, let us worship together. Let us rise in singing our opening hymn, number 360. Here we have it.
Good morning, children, adults, and children who are adults earlier than they need to be. I have a story parable. We're doing a skit. So I'm going to have some kids come on up here, and a couple of adults, and George, come on up. We're going to need some help. So, okay, come on up. I need 6 kids. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more. Leah? You want to come up? No? George, how would you be a kid today? George is a kid every day. All right, so the kids line up here. And if you can help blindfold some of these kids. Yay. There's no... Yeah. So, get blindfolded. We will begin our story.
Okay. This is a retelling of The Elephant and the Seven Blind Men from a collection edited by the Reverend Michelle Collins. It is our first lesson today, and it's an old story recast for us as The Elephant and the Blindfolded Friends. I don't know if it really happened this way, but I do believe it's true. That in a distant village, there lived 6 friends, known for their adventurous spirits and unquenchable curiosity. And one day, a traveler passed through, bringing tales of a magnificent creature, an elephant, a being none in the village had ever seen. To satisfy their curiosity, the friends decided to experience this wonder firsthand, but to make their encounter more intriguing, they agreed to do it blindfolded, to rely solely on their other senses. As the elephant was brought before them, each friend approached, their hands reaching out in anticipation. The first, upon touching the elephant's sturdy side, declared, "Whoa. Really trust Locke."
Ah, this creature is like a wall, broad and unyielding.
Meanwhile, the second friend found the elephant's tusk and said,
You are mistaken. This creature is hard and sharp like a sword.
The confusion grew as each friend encountered different parts of the elephant. The third friend, feeling the trunk, argued,
No, it's like a thick snake.
The fourth, holding the elephant's ear, disagreed.
It feels definitely like a large fan or perhaps a giant leaf.
The fifth, who had stumbled upon the elephant's leg, announced,
You are all wrong. This is clearly the trunk of a tree, strong and round.
and lastly, the sixth, grasping the tail, laughed at all the others.
Go ahead, laugh. You are fooled. This creature is like a jump rope, long and thin.
The friends argued, each convinced of their own perception, their voices rising in a cacophony of disagreement. Or not. It wasn't until the traveler, amused by their debate, removed their blindfolds that they saw the elephant in its entirety.
And you see up on the screen.
And then, with their sight restored, they stared in wonder at the magnificent creature, realizing that each of them was right, yet also wrong. The wall, the spear, the snake, the fan, the tree, and the rope were all parts of the same wondrous thing. The traveler spoke, their voice laced with wisdom.
You each touched the same truth, but from different angles. Elephant is all that you described and more. It teaches us that our individual experiences can be true, but may not represent the whole truth.
Chastened and enlightened, the friends learned an invaluable lesson that day. They understood that true understanding requires seeing the whole picture, not just the parts.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. And before we head out, I have one quick announcement. I need an extra adult on March 2nd to help in the RE program. I'm going to be out of town. Who would like to help Domingo as another adult? Anyway, you can get back to me. Also, today is World Whale Day. So we just had a story about the largest land mammal. Now we're going to help me out and celebrate the largest ocean animal. Let's all make a little whale sound together. Great, thanks so much. We're going to sing the kids out with Go Now in Peace. Kids, come on up this way. Come on, let's go. Ready? Go now in peace.
By walking around or chatting with your neighbor, the one you're sitting next to, or just staying in your seat thinking your own thoughts. I like to greet both old friends and people I've never seen before. When you hear the piano music, after a few minutes, please return to your seat right away. I'm going to use the I'm going to read to you a passage from the New Testament. It's from 1 Corinthians 13. And it is the well-loved chapter, often called the love chapter. This version is recast from the New International Version of the Greek Testament. If I speak in the tongues of people or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all of knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It's not proud. It does not dishonor others. It's not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there's knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. And when I became an adult, I put the ways of childhood behind me. For now, we see only a reflection, as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now, these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. That was beautiful. Now is the time to share with this community whatever is in our hearts and embracing meditation. But first, let us sit in silence for 30 seconds as we create a healing space. All right. Now please share with us your get well wishes, your mourning for the dead, your grief, your joy on special occasions, and your love for yourself and for others. When the gong sounds, say it all out loud, or if you're on Zoom, put it in the chat. And embracing meditation.
Healing wishes to Richard and Lando, love, others, as they grapple with
Scott McWinning. Let us also make room in our hearts for the concerns not spoken. And together, let us say, we hold them in our care.
Let us continue this largesse of spirit with one another. I invite you to occupy fully your body, to feel the support beneath you, perhaps placing your feet firmly on the floor. And together, let's take a unified breath, a deep cleansing breath. And for this one moment, let us know that we are loved, that we are safe and whole and loved. Know that you belong here, in this place, here upon this earth, here within the gift of your body. However tired or broken your heart may be, whatever fear, disappointment, anger you carry, for this moment, know they are shared. You are not alone. Literally feel the presence of others surrounding you, breathing beside you and with you. Each of us discovering together the way our voices rise and fall in harmony, in hope. Let us each claim here a resilient freedom, the choice for ever greater love, for light, to live with joy and gratitude and praise as a form of resistance. Join me in the spirit of prayer. O loving Spirit, known to us in many ways, called by us many names, whom we may know as faith, hope, love, justice. Give us ears to hear beyond the noise, to discern wisdom from deception, to resist the easy lies that serve the powerful. Give us courage to speak when the world tells us to stay silent, to call out injustice, to stand with those who are cast aside. O love, let us be voices for fairness, hands that build equity, hearts that refuse to turn away. And when, O love, we grow weary, remind us that your justice is relentless, that your love does not yield, and that we are never alone in this work. May the people say, Amen.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time to lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time to lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time to lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
Good morning again. What a joy to be here with you in this time that we are living in. Interesting times indeed. All my life I have loved stories. I love stories. When I first attended, this is the 30th year of my ordination, of which this congregation participated in Fremont. And so it's really an honor to be here with you in this special year for me. And so I've been in reflection a lot. I can remember back that far, or make it up as I go along. But I was recalling the very first class I took in seminary at the Star King School for the Ministry up the hill in Berkeley. And it was led by the revered Ron Cook, for those of you who may have known him, blessed be the name, who 30 years ago, he taught a homiletics course, which is a fancy word for saying sermonizing, class on sermons. And this very first class, it lasted about 3 hours. That's the way it worked then. And so we all settled in, and Ron was teaching us about story, and he conducted this class, this first one, with little snippets. He would tell a little story, and then we would talk about the manner in which the story was presented. Then he'd tell another story. And the arc of the story was about how he would have seminarians, his students, come down to Santa Cruz and help he and his wife, Deborah, build their getaway. Now, we wondered, first of all, why he would do that. And secondly, why he would tell these hilarious and sometimes harrowing stories about having a group of seminarians come and try to make trusses that weren't always true, or floors that were not always flat, doors that would either not close or not stay closed. And then we thought, well, maybe it's because Jesus was a carpenter, but he also delivered Sermon on the Mount. I don't know. We weren't quite sure. But he told us these tales and ever more engrossing stories and a storyline. And then, towards the end of the first session, he stopped us all dead in our tracks. And he said, our stories are either true or they're not. And it doesn't matter if they actually happened. We were gobsmacked. What? True or not? It doesn't matter if the things we say actually happened? And this rocked my world, literally, and sent me on a deep dive into the truth of the matter about stories and storytelling. So when I tell a story, especially from the pulpit or in church, I almost always begin my stories with that introduction. I don't know if it really happened this way, but I do believe it's true, which is to say it's something that I learned from an Ogonakan elder, Wiseman and elder, and the Ogonakan is a region in the Canadian province of British Columbia. And early in my ministry, I got to spend a considerable time with this elder about stories, and particularly looking at the difference between native stories and European-centric stories. And just as a brief example, you all know the tale of Hansel and Gretel. They get lost, and at the end of the story, they're abducted by an evil witch. And at the end of the European story, the witch is pushed into the oven, and then that's it. Good triumphs over evil. They all lived happily ever after. Da-da. A similar tale in native circles is that who would be the witch is pushed into a large fire and burns, but the sparks rise up into the air, and that evil then becomes mosquitoes. As a way of reminding us that evil is always there for us to confront and never a matter of one and done. So I ask you to keep that in mind. The point here, made both by the Algonquin elder and by Ron Cook, is this, that stories, though they may be full of exaggeration or even fictional accounts, are not just stories. They are teachings, and they are critical to our understanding of ourselves and our worldview. According to evolutionary psychologists and literary Darwinists, two groups I did not know existed, our brains are hardwired to think in terms of stories. And it's only within the last few hundred years that a majority of people were able to read, but no training is required for us to learn to tell a story or to hear a story. Storytelling is so instinctive in us that we barely realize that we're even doing it, or that as we do it, we are organizing our thoughts and naming meaning to our experiences. We are naturally compelled to tell stories. Through stories, we persevere and transmit our memories, our values, our cultures, for better and for worse. And the stories we tell serve to tell the world who we are and what we think of the world and our place in it. Okay, when I find my place in it. What's more, a study conducted at Stanford University suggests that a story is 22.2% more memorable than facts, a statistic which sounds great in a sermon about stories. But seriously, we all know that a song will outlive all sermons in the memory. Can I get an amen from the choir? Images and feelings evoked by stories help us to recall our own similar stories, so we internalize their messages, each in our own unique way. We can potentially develop empathy because we recognize our own experiences, our dreams, our strengths and foibles in the stories of others. When stories expose us to different ways of being, we become more flexible and creative in our responses to the world around us. And we may become inspired to change and grow, thereby expanding our worldview, changing who we are, becoming different people, often the people we need to become. Of course, depending on the stories you are exposed to, the opposite can and does occur. In that sense, stories understood as fiction can be true, and as we are also aware, nonfiction can be a lie, even when it apparently tells us what happened. And let me provide a serious example from the headlines of the May 25th, 2020 edition of the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. On Monday evening, shortly after 8 p.m., officers from the Minneapolis Police Department responded to the 3700 block of Chicago Avenue South on a report of a forgery in progress. Officers were advised that the suspect was sitting on top of a blue car and appeared to be under the influence. 2 officers arrived and located the suspect, a male believed to be in his 40s, in his car. He was ordered to step from his car. After he got out, he physically resisted officers. Officers were able to get the suspect into handcuffs and noted he appeared to be suffering medical distress. Officers called for an ambulance. He was transported to Hennepin County Medical Center by ambulance, where he died a short time later. Now, that is a story about what happened the night that George Floyd was murdered. That was the initial police report. A police report would certainly be categorized as a nonfiction account, and yet, thanks to the video recorded by Darnella Frazier, we know that, for what it left out as much as what it included, that it wasn't a true account. and the jury in the Derek Chauvin trial decided too that it was not a true account. You see, there are stories that seek to move us closer to the truth, both fiction and nonfiction, and there are stories that are designed to obscure, distract, or redirect us from finding truth, both fiction and nonfiction, either by what they include or what they do not include, or both. The American writer Willa Cather wrote, "There are only 2 or 3 fundamental human stories, but they keep repeating themselves over and over as if they had never been told." Stories, our stories are powerful. And power is not inherently good or bad, it is simply power. And one of the reasons I talk about stories here and now, how our stories are created, and the almost limitless possibilities of reviewing, renewing, revisiting, and transforming our stories, is precisely so that we can be mindful about this power we have in the critical days ahead of us. For stories are a fundamental part of the human condition and essential in nurturing our spiritual growth and setting the direction of our lives individually, communally, and as a nation. Understanding this allows for approaching and entering into many stories among individuals and within individuals, and requires a rigorous honesty and a deep humility and a commitment to the truth of the stories we tell and how they shape us, for the better and the worse. And there is always more than one story to consider. The author Chimamanda Adichie tells us in her incredibly enlightening TED Talk of 2014 the story of growing up in Nigeria as an avid and early reader, mostly of British and American children's books. And by the time she was 7, this early reading turned into early writing, and she began to craft her first stories in pencil with crayon illustrations. And as she tells it, all of her early characters were white and blue-eyed, and they played in the snow, and they ate apples, and they talked about the weather. "Oh, how lovely it is that the sun has come out today." This, she says, despite the fact that she lived in Nigeria, where it never snowed, they ate mangoes, and never talked about the weather because there was really no point to it. Adichie says her limited reading exposure created in her this limited idea about what literature meant, making her believe that a real story had nothing to do with her everyday life experience. It was only once she learned about and started reading African writers did she have that big aha moment that inspired her to weave together the fantasy fun of her early reading with her real life experiences. The Reverend Gretchen Haley, reflecting on this story, says, "Sometimes stories are told in order to connect ourselves with others and with others' stories, and sometimes stories are told and repeated over and over in order to silence all other stories." Understanding these aspects of the stories we tell, the stories we live out, and the stories we are living in, it's always been important, paramount, but it feels particularly relevant in this place and this time. In this place and this time, abuzz with accusations of fake news and conspiracy theories and alternative facts and revisionist history and relentless, bald-faced lies. This place and this time, when truth has become a matter of stubbornly arrogant determination rather than humble exploration. This place and this time, when fiction cannot even keep up with the fabrications that pass for reality, and nonfiction strains even the most fearless imaginations. Israeli writer Amos Oz writes, "A society in crisis teaches to congeal into one story only and sees reality through very narrow glasses. But there is never only one story." And like the blindfolded friends before the elephant, we must help one another remove the blinders to see the whole of the truth through the stories we may wish not to hear. For those of us who have ears to hear, we know that our current president and others in position of leadership are doing and saying awful, hurtful, hateful, even dangerous things. It seems our country is in the midst of an administrative coup. That is a coup, illegal overthrow of a government, but achieved primarily without overt violence, relying heavily on claiming powers, intimidation, bullying, extortion, threatening media, and thereby seizing all powers. And so I believe we are in an administrative coup. Actions that constitute this coup include the stories circulating the news. Reuters reporting that Elon Musk has seized all personnel payroll records and locked out government workers. The illegal firings of governmental watchdogs, often in direct retaliation for their oversight and illegal actions. We include here inspectors general. The attempted seizure of over $3 trillion of federal funding for the common good. The unconstitutional attempt to end birthright citizenship and what media casually has called a test to the limits of presidential authority. Over-intimidation of government workers asking for loyalty. And the legal but terrifying pardoning of violent insurrectionists, the very first time any sitting president has freed those who violently tried to help them seize power. This we know. Amidst all these stories of chaos, we must remain focused on telling and promoting and repeating again and again a different story, our different stories, to secure a different outcome in this place and this time. For now is the time. It is time now. Adrienne Marie Brown writes, "Remember, the future is unwritten. We are not in their story, even if we are impacted by it. We have to keep writing and living our stories, the ones where justice and love and equity and material well-being and care and connection and freedom and safety and dignity and grace and belonging to the earth and love are at the center. We must help one another. Remove the blindfolds of deception that keep us separated from each other's stories. To recognize and manifest at a spiritual level that we are a community of stories, bound to one another by a gospel of love that will never let us go. A free and responsible search for truth and meaning is all about the stories we create to ground ourselves in what is real and true, and to listen deeply to the stories and realities of others, especially the marginalized, the disadvantaged, those targeted as the other. Remember, no one is outside the circle of love. That is the good news we must tell and retell and tell again. Our lives become restoried and restored, and these new stories shape our lives whenever we expand that circle of love. We display our stories in the ways in which we respond to one another and to life itself. The sorrows that have broken our hearts, the injustices that aroused our righteous anger, the embarrassments we survived the mistakes we've made, the lessons we've learned, the communities we've helped to nourish in this vast, interconnected network of our stories, the stories of our lives. It is important, essential, to be aware of our stories and the stories we are telling and living out loud as we strive to know ourselves better and grow together in spirit in these times. It is essential to listen to one another's stories as we strive to understand one another more deeply. It is essential to realize that we are not simply creatures responding to the stimuli of the world. We are co-creators, artists, writers, writing a new page every day in the storying and restorying of our lives and the world, with faith and hope, and the greatest of these, love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love. May it be so. Amen. Let us sing.
You are invited to join us. I encourage you to join us in song. Whether you feel you can sing or not, your voice matters. You can speak the words, you can feel the words, but I hope that you will lift your voice and join us in this story. Actually, stand up.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time to lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time to lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep to lead in love. Amen.
That was spectacular. Congratulations.
Great. Giving money to your church repays you more surely and more satisfyingly than giving money to any other person or institution. That's what I say. Right? That's because, yeah, that's because you benefit from giving to your church in the ways that really count to you personally, living in community, knowing you're cared for by many people, sharing musical pleasure, and thoughtful conversation, working for justice, and enjoying a deep sense of walking through life with meaning and kindness. So, by all means, give to all the groups and people you can afford to. The church itself will give half of this month's donation to the Interfaith Movement for Human Integrity. But start with strengthening the foundations of your own life and the lives of people who are dear to you by giving to this church. That's a likely path to becoming a better citizen of the world. But if you're here for the first time, please just be our guest. Will the ushers please come forward?
As I walk this wicked world, searching for light in the darkness of insanity, I ask myself, is all hope gone? Is there only hate, hatred, and misery? And each time I feel like this inside, just one thing I want to know: what's so funny about peace, love, understanding? As I walk on dark headlines, my spirit gets so downhearted sometimes. And where are the strong? And who are the trusted? And where is the sweet harmony? And each time I feel like this inside, just makes me wanna cry. What's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Understanding. Peace, love, we are the strong, we are the trusted, and we are the sweet harmony. Each time I feel like this inside, there's one thing I want to know: that we are the singers of peace, love, and understanding. We are the bringers of peace, love, and understanding. Come on, sing it with me if you want. We are the singers of peace, love, and understanding. We are the bringers of peace, love, and understanding. One more time. We are the singers of peace, love, and understanding. One more last time. We are the singers of peace, love, and understanding.
Great. Ushers, where are you? And now for our congregational covenant. To the word of the church. As we extinguish the chalice, we offer gratitude for all the people here and on Zoom today, and for all those whose work made this service possible. And we resolve to carry their spirit through the coming week.
My friends, would you please look towards the center of one another? Find the glimpse of an eye. Perhaps you want to reach out and touch a shoulder or a hand. Make connection in some way with those around us. Bridge the gulf. My friends, as you leave this place in the presence of one another, may love be your guide and courage be your companion. And may joy greet you at every turn. May you seek health and wholeness in all things and exercise generosity, substance, and spirit in all that you do. May the truth always come easily to your lips, even in this world that is often fearful and fractured and false. Despite this, strive to be happy, but remain unsatisfied until this world is made more fair and all the people one by what we do or leave undone. Go in peace, live with grace and gratitude, return again and again. Amen. Amen. Let's go, baby.
as I walk this wicked world, searching for light in the darkness. I ask myself, yeah, they think is all hope gone? Is there only pain and hatred and misery? And each time I feel like this inside, one thing I wanna know: what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? As I walk on this dark headlines, my spirit gets so downhearted sometimes. Where are the strong and who are the trusted? And where is the sweet harmony? And each time I feel like this inside, one thing I wanna know: what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Trusted, we are the sweet harmony. And each time I feel it slipping away, know that I'm not alone. Understand that we are the bringers of peace, love, and understanding. We are the singers of peace, love, and understanding. We are the bringers of peace, love, and understanding.